You're watching Movieguide's Backstage Pass. I'm Cheryl Crisp, and we're at the Sight and Sound Theater in Lancaster, Pennsylvania for the theater production of Jonah. And it's a whale of a story.
Stop running until you trust him here.
Well, we're known for being big. That's one of the first things that people say is, oh my goodness, I didn't know it was going to be so big. We have 2,000 seats in the theater. Our stage is 300 feet. It is on 3 sides of the audience. So not only is it in front of you, but it goes all the way back to the rear of the theater. And the shows really are an immersive experience. They're spilling out over the front of the stage and into the audience. Whether it's the Red Sea that parts on all 3 sides or the whale in Jonah that comes down and swims over the heads of the audience. We have animals that are running up and down the aisles and actors that use the aisles and at time interact with guests and things like that. So it is truly a whole experience that just surrounds you no matter what the story is. It takes just over 3.5 years to produce a show, and the beginning of the show really starts with our story department, and they take the story, they read the scriptures, they do research. We've actually had a team that actually traveled to Israel to do research and be in the Holy Lands and just kind of experience it for themselves. We want to be able to represent the truth within the story, and we recognize that all of the elements of our shows are a part of doing that. So whether it's the costumes or the lights or the animals and actors, there are so many ways of telling the story and bringing vibrancy and bringing it to life and bringing it into the audience and into hopefully the hearts of those that come through our doors.
This place tells a story in such a creative way, and there are so many different engaging aspects to it that it's just not typical. It just is not typical. It's not whatever you think it's going to be. I think it's better than that. You just have to be aware all the time. You have to be keep a sixth sense out about what's going on around you, because there's things coming at you, at a certain time, and you need to be out of the way. And children sometimes can do not what you're expecting them to do, and especially the animals do things that you're not expecting them to do. So, expecting the unexpected is a good rule of thumb. And it's interesting because sometimes I'll stand on stage at the end. I thought, growing up, I never thought I could be a pastor. That's not who I am. But the Lord is using me, and it's sometimes overwhelming when I'm standing in front of people in the end of the show saying those important lines and thinking, this is how God's using me in the ministry aspect. It's exciting, it's exhausting, it's so meaningful, because at the end of the day, it's not just a job. I believe this stuff.
And one of the beautiful and unique things about working at Sight and Sound is because you are truly experiencing it, they pay attention to so many details. Like, you have this huge stage with thousands of feet, but the smallest details are there. And so when we get into the set pieces, like you'll be in Joppa and they have like big fish that you can play with and beautiful scarves and the water with the fog and the lighting, like you feel like you're right in the middle of it. Coming into rehearsals, they take it piece by piece, so you kind of get introduced to it slowly. And so they'll share with you, and they'll tell you like where your blocking is, where you stand on stage, what lines you're going to say, and then they also go through your backstory. So it was really neat to get to sit down with the director and with like Tom as Jonah and discuss like your relationship with one another. It's truly an experience, and each day you're experiencing it even differently, because like the audience responds differently as well, and you kind of go on that ride with them. They're like the added component that you don't really get until you're in the show. And so it's such a fun aspect, and also I feel like the Holy Spirit moves you in different ways every show, and so sometimes the show will take a little bit of a different ebb or different ways with lines, and so it's neat to just be a vessel in that.
Whether it's Jonah or Samson or Moses, with any of the stories that we have the opportunity to tell, we want people to walk away having had a shared experience with people that they love and recognizing that these scriptures are still alive and they are fun and they are relevant and they have messages that apply to people of all walks of life. No matter where you're coming from, there's something in there. I think we live in a world where a message of hope or peace or forgiveness or love. Like, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, we need more of that. I think that's one thing we all can agree on. And so that's the piece that we really hope that people walk away with. The biggest compliment we say we ever can get is when we get stories or letters back from our guests and they say, I went home and I kind of just, I was curious. I wanted to see what was actually in the scriptures about this show and if what we saw was really what was in there. And so my family sat down and we read through the book of Jonah together, or we read about Moses together. That's really, if we can do that, if we can connect people back to the scriptures and the truths in them, that's what we hope to do.